Who is winning in the American election? Who is winning?
Well, on the Republican side, it looks like Donald Trump is winning.
What happened in Iowa?
For now. Well, so in Iowa, that's where they began the Republican presidential primary. It's always the first state to go. And they went earlier on, and Donald Trump won big. I mean, there was a lot of uncertainty around it because of the felony charges, the criminal charges, the civil cases that were going on against Trump, and the challenge he was having from Nikki Haley, Ron DeSantis, and other people. So there was a bit of uncertainty. Can he do it? Will he do it? He won big in Iowa.
Okay. Then what happened next?
And then from Iowa, they moved on to New Hampshire. That is the second state in the primary calendar because, they go from state to state and give everybody the chance to vote. So in New Hampshire, the permutations were that is a state that has an open primary. It means that you don't necessarily need to be a Republican for you to vote over there. It's very open as far as you register before. So they felt that might give Nikki Haley and the other challengers a chance to come in. And it's typically a state that goes opposite what the Iowans do.
Okay.
So people were saying that, well, maybe Nikki Haley or Ron DeSantis do have the chance over there. Well, they went to New Hampshire and Donald Trump won there again. And it's quite historical because since 1976, no primary candidate has won both states.
Iowa and New Hampshire.
Iowa and
you
New Hampshire.
win Iowa, you will lose.
Sometimes, it changes.
I think it happened to Barack Obama. He won Iowa and lost New Hampshire to Hillary Clinton.
That's correct.
I see. That's true. That's true.
And even when you look at George Bush, the same thing happened to him. When you look at even the Joe Biden.
Yeah.
He lost Iowa. In fact, lost New Hampshire, and then won South Carolina before his campaign started. So it's normally not that regular that you win both of them. And so it looks like Donald Trump has made some history over there.
What about the recent charges that the court found guilty against found the woman? The court upheld the case of a lady who said he had harassed her, and he's being asked to pay $83 million to the lady.
Right. So I mean, this is somebody who filed charges of sexual harassment against Donald Trump, and Trump was found guilty of it to some extent. So he had to pay some damages.
He says it's appealed against the ruling.
Yes. But then what the lady also said was that Trump's continuous maligning of her personality on the campaign trail was against her. It's kind of affected her image.
Okay.
And so
that's part of the action.
That was part of
the charges that she's claiming.
Yeah.
That's why it went to $83 million.
Yes, that was a very recent one. Then I mean, but that's just one of several. I mean, there are 4 major ones. The January 6th one that the folks.
That's a major one. Yes. Where is that one now? It was going on a court of appeal to make some decision.
Yes,
Federal Court of Appeal.
Yes, and for now there are different things that are coming up, and so they've been told to hold on until they determine whether he's able to run on the ballot, because people are also suing that he should be taken off the ballot completely.
In federal or some states?
In some states, but Trump has taken it to the Supreme Court because some states have actually decided that he should be off.
Okay, so the Supreme Court is going to say whether you can say a candidate for a party cannot be on the ballot in your state.
Or not, yes. Okay. And so they are holding off most of the case until that determination
is made. When is that determination expected?
I think February 3rd. No,
that's soon.
February 3rd, very, very soon.
The verdict from the Supreme Court.
I'm not sure about that, but I think it's in February.
It's in February.
It's in February, yeah.
But if it's February, then it comes before Super Tuesday.
And that's why people are thinking that maybe all of these things might then affect what they think about Donald Trump, and it might also affect the outcome of the race. Because don't forget that most of the candidates that are running against Trump dropped out after Iowa.
Okay.
Ron DeSantis, who was seen as the most plausible challenger to him, people called him the neither version of Trump, dropped out after New Hampshire. Rick Ramaswamy, I don't know if he's here. So this is basically the results from I believe this is the Iowa Republican primaries, 51-21-19. So it's a bit of a stretch. 51 is quite high. You go on, and then this is the New Hampshire one.
Oh, higher, 54.
54, it's even higher. And so Ron is third, and by this time he decides to drop off. This is just to understand, the Iowa dynamic. The population of Iowa, about 3.2 million, but most of them have high school diploma or higher, so the education levels are quite high over there. It's a mostly white population, 89.8. And that's why a lot of people argue that, well, let's not end this yet. Let's wait to get to more diverse
communities in America,
in America to see how representative the voting is. Yeah. This is also mostly white, 92.6, very high. So that is the argument that a lot of people, the problem that they have with the primaries, because they believe that the early states have too much power over the later states.
Meanwhile, because they sort of set the momentum.
Yes, they set the momentum. Meanwhile, they are not as representative of America as it is.
Okay.
And that's why people are saying, well, Trump shouldn't get too far ahead of himself.
You should wait for Super Tuesday.
You should wait for Super Tuesday. And also the larger election against the Democrats, because the demographic...
The November election.
The November election. Because the demographic dynamics in the US are quite shifting. So it's not a slam dunk. It's not a done deal.
Okay.
But these are the people, and he dropped out. That's the Indian American billionaire, very rich guy, Rick Ramaswamy, dropping out after Iowa. Ron DeSantis, Florida governor, very Trumpian in his outlook, but had to drop out after New Hampshire. And then we have the big man here, Chris Christie, who was...
But Trump's vice president, he dropped out a long time ago, isn't it?
Oh, yes, yes. He dropped out even before it's Mike Pence. Before everything started. Because, sometimes you look at the polls and you look at the money that you are getting. The elections cost a lot, just today, it was announced that Joe Biden has rigged in about 44 million. Donald Trump is in about 31 million serious cash that they have to spend on the election. So sometimes you look at the amount of resources you have and then you make your calculation and you know that, no, I can't really go far. So that's what happened to Mike Pence. Chris Christie was the only person who really was bold enough to challenge Trump among the Republicans. Because you see, it's a culture war going on in the Republican Party, and Trump seems to have a hold on the party. And so the more Trumpian you look, the better for you. Or the less you attack him, the better for you in some respects.
Yeah.
But he was one of the few people who was willing to really go one-on-one against Trump and really attack him. Well, that didn't really work out for him, so he also dropped out. So for the first time, we actually have just two people left in the race, and we have a one-on-one race for the first time since this whole Republican presidential primary started. And so it is also another factor that people are talking about that, well, let's wait and see, because previously we had a lot of people in the race going against Trump, and so maybe they were splitting their vote. Now, for the first time, we have a single candidate going against Donald Trump. Maybe that might change the dynamic, and that's why people are still holding out to see how this happens.
Okay, thank you. I think that's good enough.
And so would probably be on the ground at some point.
Yes, we'll tell viewers that we'll surprise them with our coverage of the Super Tuesday.